track down. Oh, it's easy, isn't it? It's easy. We have made some progress since episode 8, which was a while ago in our world. In your world it might just be the week after, because we're quite behind on editing. So, on the last episode we said we were going into autumn and not much progress was going to be made. Well, since then and now, we've kind of had a bit of a heat wave, end of August, early September sort of time, and that's meant we could get some work done. But unfortunately, we didn't film a whole lot of it because it was bits and pieces, as we were also trying to prepare for a show, and we had a holiday, and there are a number of other things going on, so we didn't do very much filming, I'm afraid. Which is terrible, and we should be ashamed of that. But we can show you what we've done. So, we have some more plants around, and probably not going to point out every one. I'll let somebody else do that, either freeze this and point them out. But there's a few more plants dotted about. We keep sort of acquiring here and there. We've got a few more in the pond. We're just trying to green it up a little bit, but it's they seem to be taking quite well. And the other thing that we have tucked around this corner is some tunnel mouse. So we picked these up while on holiday from down at Garden Railway Specialists, who were fantastic at dealing with and gave us brilliant service down there, really welcoming. So thank you very much to them. But yeah, we've got a number of tunnel mouths and bits and pieces that go around. I'll point them out. But we were waiting on these to finish off the two ends of the tunnel, which is going to be something that we're going to be doing soon. So they're here waiting to be trimmed and fit. And then as we come down this way, you'll start to see a number of the plants obviously starting to grow on the bank. We're starting to get good growth, certainly on this section. I think these were a little bit big when we put them in.
They went in first.
They went in first, yeah.
They've got a couple of weeks, well, a few days head start.
Everything seems to be growing. These ones don't look like they've grown as much, but they are shooting out. And this is the Irish moss.
Yes.
The mint ones, Corsican mint, are also sort of starting to branch out. Some have actually grown quite a bit, some not as much, but they all seem to be sort of growing. I don't think we've got any that are dying back, so that's good. Moss and clover as it's sort of become.
Yeah, I mean, I'm saying it's clover, it looks like clover.
Yeah, there's all sorts of things growing in here. I keep having to weed them out. In fact, I have to keep having to weed the bank numerous times. This is probably going to take a lot longer to grow because obviously being moss and everything, it's going to take a while to spread out and be happy, but it looks good. You'll see more walling that we picked up from Garden Railway Specialists. So these are cast concrete walling sections. They're just placed in for now. They will be cemented in, but I've just placed them in to get an idea of how they look, and that gets us this little road past, and there'll be a bit of a station halt and things in there. And then we need a bit more soil at the back just to bring it up so we've not got the black on show, and a lot more little conifers and trees and things at the back so that it gives you that backdrop, but you're starting to get that view at the back there. And then what else? Oh, down this end. So again, a few more plants in here. We'll dot the names about because I can't remember what they are. But we're not 100% sure how this loop is actually going to look, especially this end exactly. I've put these stones back in, but I'm not sure whether they're going to stay there or not, but they're looking alright. So we've not gone mad with putting plants in here, Also because it's quite costly, as time's gone on.
Yeah.
Buying them all. So yeah, we're just putting a few in, getting them established, and then we can always move them if need be. But if you follow us around...
I'm not sure I actually want to add up how much we have spent on plants.
No, it does get scary, but you know, it is a garden railway, you've got to have garden plants. So this section, I believe, will all be new, because I don't think we've filmed this bit.
The last bit of footage I have, there were just some breeze blocks.
Yes. So this kind of, I started doing it one day when it was nice and sunny, and it just sort of happened and I didn't film it, which is terrible.
Because it looks so good.
It does look good, and it didn't when I started. I was a bit concerned, and then it just sort of developed into something good. So I haven't finished that way yet, that's still undecided, but we've basically made a track down from the quarry. The stone flags stood up at the side here with enough clearance that you can get something down here. It's very nice, close on the track. Very tight.
Close, narrow,
down here.
one of
Narrow,
those words on
yeah,
both at
one
the
of
same
those.
time. Yeah.
So you're not going to run anything up here that's big, but listers, little diesels and things, which is what that would have been used for anyway.
Have you actually tested fitting the lister up there?
Well, the lister's about the width of the track, so
Okay.
it's fine. I think it's narrower than the sleepers. It's
Right.
tiny. So yeah, the lister will fit up fine, and we can always trim a little bit off if need be. But I like it tight because that's kind of what the line was. You'll recognise these from the old line as well. This building was from Terry. I'll put his name comment somewhere. But yeah, that's one of his buildings, and that's another one that again I'll put the name somewhere because I can't remember it.
Oh, we picked that
Cohen-
up
Cohen,
at the
something like that.
Lanver show.
Yes, we did.
Years and years ago.
So that's that one. But the idea with that is that's kind of a back entrance into the mine that you'll see in a minute. And so if you follow us round, we've started to put a few plants in the rocks.
Which, to be fair,
So-
it looks like it's surviving all right.
Yeah,
we weren't sure
it does.
whether that would actually survive
Yeah,
in there.
it's
but-
kind of had to be stuffed in. But what we'll probably do is pick bits off other ones that we can propagate and then stuff them in where we can, because we've kind of left gaps where we can get soil too. And so you've got a few plants growing in the rock face as well, because that would be kind of nice. So if you want to come this side of me, assistant. So, quarry face in, and we have cemented all the top ones on now. I think the last one we just had the bottom ones on, and then obviously got the soil up to the back of it, so it's looking a lot nicer now. Is that view? Put a bit of loose sort of graveliness around as well. Again, over time it'll all bed in, all go the same colour. We will be doing something here with track and a bit of a platform or something off for a point, but that gives you access to a little mine or entrance. And we've made it long enough and sort of curving so that you can't really see the end of it. So it just looks like it's a black hole disappearing into the hillside. So yeah, and we'll obviously put a few details, bits and things around over time and with open days and things to make all that look nice. The job still to do, which may be this weekend, is to do the base of the quarry, which is concerning me quite a bit, is how I'm going to quite do it, because we're just going to have to mix a load of cement, put it in, sculpt it and do things, and you've got the time it takes for that cement to set for that to be what you're going to do. It's a bit easier when you're doing stones and things, you can lay them all out beforehand, see how it looks, then cement them in, but the bottom of this is going to be a bit trickier. I've sort of put one in the middle here just because I thought it might be a quite nice feature to have something sat in the middle, but these bricks are sort of where track work's going to be coming in, but it'll spread out as well, but it just gave me an idea and a bit of more of a solid base, especially for that one coming in, because it might be heavier locos go on that one, but only small stuff will go off on the branches.
I mean, to be fair, heavy locos aren't going to go anywhere on the rest of it. It's that solid.
True. Yeah, well this is all down to the infill, I suppose, so yeah. Yeah, so that I think is what we've got done really.
I can't think of anything else.
No. So what we'll now do is we'll go down here and I'll explain what we're going to do with another tunnel mouth on this bank section down here. So of course there isn't a tunnel mouth at that side of the tunnel, which will be done, but the one we're talking about, this big beast. So again, Garden Railway specialists, thank you very much for supplying me this one. This is, I think, is their Victorian tunnel mouth or something like that. I will be honest, it looked a little bit smaller when I saw it online. I didn't have the measurements, so I should have known how big it was.
Yeah, it is quite massive.
But it is a big beast, a big piece of concrete. So the idea with this one was to put it in here as a tunnel mouth that's then bricked up as if it was, the line was heading somewhere originally, but now it's no longer used. So when we got this, we then sort of sat it in, started to sit it in here and things, and thought, wow, that's big. It's been quite the beast to try and fit in. So I was then sort of going off the idea, but having looked at it again, I think we can still do this, because it does look big when you sit it there, but if you actually brought it into this wall, which we can do, and tucked it round a little bit so the line's going at the right angle into it, I think we can get something on here, make that bank up. Obviously it's going to be a lot lower once we've cut it into the wall, and I think it will look alright. So that's the plan, is to cut that into this wall.
So take the saw to the wall.
We're going to take the saw to the wall. Now these ones might be removed. I'm not 100% sure yet what I'm doing that way. My vision had it that I had a truck or something sat on here, just in, you know, it would be a siding at that point because it's bricked off, and it would have a backdrop bit like this does, so that if you're taking photos and things, you can't see the house wall behind. But I'm not 100% sure how I'm going to do this. I have some more of these smaller walls, and I have some bigger ones as well that are up this sort of height, same as this, but bigger, which I could put here. It's just how to support them and things. But I'll get this in first, see how that looks, get something heading off that way, possibly heading this way as well. Might use the stone flags like we've done on the other tunnel mouths, and just see how it comes together. The first thing is to get the big stone saw, slice down here, take a little bit out just so we can sit that in and see how it looks, and then go from there. So I think that's the next job. So let's give that a go. One big beastie stone saw took up the wall. The question is, how many pulls is this going to take to start? Or even, will it start? And how wet am I going to get? Because the pipe's coming on. Easy, isn't it? I'm quite wet. lots of debating later, and we've come up with the following arrangement. Ish. There's always an ish in the way that we build things.
It might change.
It might change.
Yeah.
Probably won't change. So, cut down, put that in, but I think it wants to be a little bit lower. It's quite high currently, so to track level we are looking at to the centre of the tunnel about 220, which is probably a good height for those tunnels over there because we know that big stuff's going to run through them. But for a scenic one that's going to be bricked up, we want it a little bit lower because it's just a bit too tall for the look really. So we're probably going to drop it 30 to 40 mil, around 180 sort of mark, which, if I remember right, is a roundhouse Darjeeling Garrett size from looking up measurements, which is still a pretty big loco, so that's suitable I think. Granted you want a bit of clearance, but close enough.
No one's actually going to run through it.
No one's going to run
Don't
through it,
worry
it just
about
has to look about right. So yeah, so that will drop down. We've put a stone in at this side, a flag in at this side, which is giving you, covering up that side of the tunnel portal, juts out a little bit, and then what will then happen is the ground level up here will be brought up to this. There might be another stone in here just to get us across to this back wall, so all this section's higher. It'll tie in and we'll maybe bring this up to it.
Yeah, you're going to have to bring the bricks up at the back.
Yeah, which is what we cut these ones for, and why we haven't fixed this down yet is we can then start to step this up.
Because it is going to have to come up to that wall
to get up
somewhere.
there. So that's that. Then we've kind of represented a bit of a planting at the top here because this is going to be
Yeah, that bush
soil
probably
at the top.
will go there.
And yep, we have this bush which is emerald green shrub.
It doesn't grow too much more than that, really.
So there you go.
It's quite nice.
So no, it stays nice and bushy like that, and that might just sit in this top corner, and maybe another one or something here. And then we have these larger sections of wall, which is, again,
yeah, that you mentioned earlier.
garden railway specialist.
The big sections.
So they're going to go in here. What we're probably going to do is cut down this line and move this column to this end, so that it's the joint between these two pieces. And then this, I need to then integrate into here. It's going to be quite a bit of measuring, deciding, angle,
Measure
cutting.
about 5 times, cut once.
Yes.
Yes.
Realise it's wrong, fill it in with a bit of cement and
Make it work.
stuff to get that to tie in. But then that gets us these two pieces. So these aren't where they're going to be, because obviously we've got a big gap here. These are actually, if I just wiggle that wrong, they're going to be in here somewhere, like that. Because what we're going to do is stone saw cut all the way down the bricks so that they're half, and then put this in front of it, and I'm actually then going to wall halves up to support the back of these. So it'll be walled up, and doing our measurements we're coming up to around here somewhere, and then we'll just cement off the top a little bit, just to tie it in and give a nice little finish to this side. But it covers up the brick wall from that side of things, giving a nice stone wall finish, but means that these are supported by the brick wall, so we've got something to actually fasten them to. So yeah, so they'll be stepped back a bit, which will give us a bit more planting down here, because we can put some plants in either side of the track. So we're going to do those two.
You are going to have to cut those down.
Yes, sorry, yes. A little bit off the bottom of these, so they sit on the brick wall.
Basically make them the same
so
height
they
as
match,
the tunnel side.
They match
yeah.
this. Yeah, but obviously the soil then can come up, so you won't see the brick wall down there. The soil level will just tuck up to the bottom of them. This one is going to go in here, which gives us that slope finish down. So these are normally on the sides of the tunnel, but we're sort of extending that bit so that we're covering up this back wall. Down here, and then this is where it started to get a little bit tricky as to what we do from this point onwards to here, because again I want to hide the brick wall as much as possible. I don't want to see it all the way along. There's a little bit at that end you might see, but then you're into the bit where all the bricks are anyway, that you're going to see where the steaming up area is. So at this end I want them all to disappear. So we did think about putting this up there, but I didn't like the fact that they're two different types of wall. So then Nikki came up with a fantastic idea of leaving a gap, which means you can then have a gate in, and we'll then put some gravel or something down just to, again, cover up the brick. Come in, and it might be a path to the points or down this side or somewhere, but a gate access means you can then split the two walls apart and do it like that. And then this one will then go at a bit of an angle like that, sort of following roughly where the track line is, and we're going to have to take the soil out of this section anyway to put some more cement down into here.
Yes, because the track is floating.
Because the track is floating, because we wanted to get straighter onto the bridge, which is why we brought it further back here for our gauntlet track. So yeah, we're going to probably lift this gauntlet track, fill this in with cement, and then that'll all be ballasted anyway. So that'll cover up that edge, and then that's your end of your wall in there onto the bridge. So that'll just tie all this section up.
And if you manage all that, it'll be a miracle.
There, track down. Oh, it's easy, isn't it? It's easy until I come to cut this and realise just how many bits of pieces I have to make. Cut. So if you actually come round, you'll see I've made my life harder by cutting all the way through here, but I had to do that to actually get it in and see what it looks.
You've made a mess as well.
I have made a mess, it's a puddling mess. But because I've cut all the way through here, obviously if I'm then going to wall half bricks up this section here, I'm going to have this all exposed and it's not going to look right. So I'm going to have to take this brick out, and if I can get that one out, this one might have to come off, but I'll redo that section, and so this will all just be brick here. That tunnel mouth will be cut back a little bit to tie in with all this and everything else, but it'll all just be brick down here with a little bit of cement on the top. And then again, trickier bit to finish off here, I will just have to see how I manage to cut the bricks and line it all up there.
You'll work something out.
Bit of cement. You've got to remember this side isn't really seen, especially as we're going to put this wall in here. It's kind of hiding what's going on past this point. Anyway, from the scenic side, non-scenic side. So yeah, that's what I need to do. Work out, compute.
Good morning, everyone. As you can see, we've made a bit of a mess already before we remembered we probably should film this. But we are casting the base of the quarry. So, Rob is here, and he's, well, you've laid the cement down, haven't you?
Yep.
Or mixed some cement this morning. And I'm currently strategically placing stones. Sounds a lot easier than it's actually is.
Yeah, it's quite.
Because I've got to think about where the track's going.
We've been putting this off for quite a while because we didn't know really how to do it, and we still don't know how to do it. So
we're making it up.
We're just winging it.
Yep.
And seeing how it comes out. So we're using cement. It probably could be concrete, but we don't have any sand and gravel left, so it's going to be cement. But we've already put a load of gravel in the bottom, so it's kind of sat on top of that anyway. And then we're going to put some stones on top and some of the grit as well. And yeah, just sort of see how that then pans out. But as we're going to put some tracks on here, we've got to have it vaguely level for those, but they are only quarry scenic ones, so it's not critical if they're a little bit up and down.
It's more so I don't put stones where the track's
yes,
meant
and
to
we've
be
also
as
got,
well.
don't set stones into it. So I'll go get you another load, shall I? With a bit more water in it.
Yeah. So, all these stones I'm using are actually offcuts from building the wall around the pond. or some of these, some are chips off these stones. So they should, in theory, match, or at least partly. That's the idea, anyway.
This bit of wood, this one might be too long.
Oh,
I'm going to have to take that bit of track out. Ah. Because that's just too long. Yeah.
Either that or you go and cut it down.
Yeah, but then it would be too short somewhere else.
Yeah.
See, this is why we put pegs in last time when we're doing all the foundation, because you can level off the pegs and not have to level off something miles away. But I couldn't put pegs in here because it's all rubble under here. Quite difficult. I did try.
Did you?
I did try at one point hammer a peg in.
I'm guessing it didn't go very far.
No.
No.
No, the peg sort of fell in bits. I thought it might just wedge down the side of the stones, but nope.
No. Straight in pieces.
Yeah. So we're now just currently trying to remove a piece of track at that end to see if the long bit of wood I've got for tamping down will fit. Nice to get this as level as possible. It certainly doesn't want to be high because we're not going to have to be grinding it off.
Oh no, definitely not. So we've finished the quarry base, or at least for the minute. We're going to let the concrete set, cement even, set. And we've levelled out this bit where the track's going to go. So all the way around here. Because there's going to be a track coming along here and off to join up with the bit of track here. And there'll be a point about here somewhere that then goes off to a turntable about where the little monolith is. So we've just got to let that all set a bit, and then we can top it with some other bits of stone and make it blend in a bit more. But for the minute it looks pretty good. Next job is to use up the bit of cement that's left on a section we now need, down where our gauntlet track is. So that's what we'll do next.
So it's looking a little bit different to yesterday because it's now all cut and in place. We've got the tunnel mouth down into its position, cut the 40mm off so it's lower, looks a lot more proportional to the rest of everything that's around here. Then what we've also done is I cut this side of the buttress off so we could get the angle of it heading this way, which looks a bit odd then for the bit left at the top. But we've done that so that it creates an end at the top here, because this top hole is going to have soil up to it, because obviously it's the top of the hill where the tunnel's going into. We're then going to wall another layer of bricks on the top of this wall, and then put our black plastic edging up one of the slope sections to get us up that high, up to the back of it. It's not going to be perfectly level with the top of this tunnel mouth because of the sizes and everything, but we'll clean up the back of this, put a couple of lines in it, and it'll look like it's then walled or something like that. And with the soil up to it, you're not really going to see a whole lot of it, but it'll just clean up this back edge. We've got stones in at the front, but these aren't probably the final positions. I'm thinking they'll probably scoot back a little bit, and this one wants to be lower or a different stone. But the idea is to cover up this side of the tunnel, because obviously it has to be into a hillside, and then that line is going to then follow back down to this sort of point here. So this one wants to be lower or a different stone. but that then will retain all the soil on the top here. And then we can then take something like this shrub and sit it in the top here, and it'll look like the top of a hill. So we've cut these down a little bit so that they're level with the sloped one that's here, and this buttress has been cut off the end of this piece and forms the joint that's here. Obviously there's a lot of aligning and things when we come to cement it. The other thing we're going to do here is we've cut these bricks at the back here in half, so probably a bit more than half, and I cut them off here, but it just meant I could sit them in there.
Yeah, you didn't get it very straight.
No, I didn't get very straight, but yeah, and so the idea then is that we will wall half bricks like that all the way up, so another one on top of that, and that will get us to about here, about a 10mm difference to the top of here, and we'll just put a bit of cement on just to clean up the back, the back edge. But that means these and this wall are all, we'll wall them together so they're all cemented to each other, and strengthens it so these aren't sort of stuck on the surface of any, well, they are stuck on the surface, but they're sat on top of the brick wall below, they're not going to drop or just be waffy on top. They've got a bit of thickness to them. When we get to the end here, that one's going to be a bit tricky because I'm going to have to cut the bricks and things, so I'll have to see quite how that one comes out. Then we've got this other section of wall with our gateway through. So what we're doing now is putting a bit of extra cement base in just at the back of this track. Where the gauntlet track actually sat anyway, hung over the back edge, because we were a little bit forward with these concrete blocks. Although we weren't originally, but we wanted to bring it further back here to get a straighter run onto the bridge, which just meant the joints on the bridge were a little bit better. So that's why we're just going to put an extra bit of cement in here so the track can sit on it, and it makes sense then for that gateway coming through. There's only going to be a thin bit of soil if we left it, so might as well just cement that in. Whether this will be a wall, I'm not 100% sure yet. I'm not sure about the two different types, or whether we'll do it a bit of fence or something. We'll decide, so I won't cement this on until a later date, because that just sits on the top anyway. We'll get all this bit done at some point, but this bit's next, and yeah, and then we'll probably go to the tunnel mouths, but we'll get this done and look at those in a little bit. Got a mix done, so now let's cement all this in, and as we go along we'll put some half bricks in place. But first thing I need to do is put the tunnel mouth in. So we're going to dry fit first. And that's good. It's sitting too far down at that side. So what I can then do is, I've just got some bits of rubble in the bottom here. And they're just going to help me get the level right. And I think I'm about right. Just off this edge and done there, so I'm happy with that. So we'll now try and get some cement in. Now I've got that first one in, I'm leaving this cut one, and we're going to bring another one on here in the right place. We'll just slightly out, and then I'll get back in line down here. So I now just need another brick sit in here, complete that run. I mean, how good is that? Brilliant, isn't it? Did take some doing, trying to get these long, cut in half bricks to actually wall nicely was a bit of a challenge. And obviously also then trying to not knock all of this while trying to wall, and you were backwards and forwards trying to keep everything in line, but hopefully it's all going to stay. As you can see from this side, it looks like a wall. Might be a little bit of tidying up to do on some of the joints now the cement's starting to go green. But the only thing to note at this side is, originally I planned to bring this up and kind of chamfer it or something along this top edge, and I did try that to start with, but it just didn't look right. So I'm now wondering if I can get some sort of capping to go on the wall along, and that would also then go on the underside of this, and tie in with bits and pieces here. I'm also not 100% sure about where this one ends, because you do see it from that side. So again, bit of capping or something, might put a bit of a wall or something on here just to tidy it up. I'll see, but for now it's doing its job in that it's holding all this in place so it can all set. One thing you will note is, by the fact I can put my hand through the tunnel currently, is it's not bricked up. Now, I did think of this before I put it in place, and I've actually got a piece of slate that will slot down into here, and I've marked on the opening of the tunnel mouth, and that then means that on a winter's day when it's pouring with rain or what have you, when it, like it does in winter, I can put that into the garage and I can actually wall with some small bricks up that slate, probably laid flat just to make my life a bit easier, or just at a bit of an angle but not straight upright. Then it'll be all stuck to that bit of slate, probably a bit of SBR over it and things just to give it that really good clag together. And then before I've filled all this up, I can then come push it down, hopefully just push it into place. I'll see how it fits round tunnel mouth. If it'll go through, fine, but what I'm likely to do is actually just put bricks past it here, so it's actually the bricks are on the inside of it, and then it's all flush and it'll look, I think, better.
I was just going to ask you how you were going to do that bit, because it's like hard up against the brick wall at the back.
It is, and I had realised that after I've done the slate, so I'm going to have to cut the slate a little bit tight there, but it'll go in and we'll get it. We'll get that. Even if I have to just bring the angle grinder and just cut a slot out of there, we'll get it in. But yeah, that's the plan for that. And then once that slate's in, the slate's then actually holding the soil back, so it's not going to push the bricks out, but it looks correct from this side. So cemented in around these. There's cement down this side of this as well now, because I had some left over. Same with this one. So they're all held in place. And then I've also got bricks on at the top side of here, ready for the black plastic to go on, and then that then will be full of soil to there. And once it's set, I'll just run the grinder along this edge with a grinding disc on it and just smooth that out probably, and leave it at that. But that can just tuck up into there like that. So yeah, come down here. Obviously I said I wasn't going to attach this one, but I've just sat it in place for now. And you also see this piece of cement's going off now, and that just will help support this point and the gauntlet track that we haven't put back in yet. This is only just sat in. Tidy all that up, and it means a bit of less planting down here, but it'll support the track, and I think we can put a bit of scenic and things on there. So this isn't the only tunnel mouth we mentioned we'll be doing today, so we'll go have a look at these ones. So the tunnel mouth is in place, and with this one we had to hide the side of the tunnel. So we've built a sort of mini stone wall up here, which has tidied it all up, a little bit of gravel and things in just to hide the joints because it's quite difficult to wall that small and have clean joints. But tunnel mouths in, we've put an extra one up the top here just to cover that edge. This edge I'm not too worried about, it doesn't look too bad. What we have to think about is we want to be able to lift these top stones off, these top flags off, so we can get into the tunnel if need be. So this bit of wall that's sat on here is actually the bit that I cut off from the tunnel over there that we've just seen, and that bit's just going to sit in there, cover that edge up, weather in, but it means we can lift that out and actually get our fingers up to lift these sections out. Obviously you can push them up from underneath as well, but it's going to be easy to lift them from there. So that's tidied that bit up and gives a nice finish. And the reason we've left this big pad here is so that if need be, if somebody's really messed up in the tunnel and we have to take the lids off, you can get your foot on there to actually get up, and also just planting along the top will be a lot easier.
Foot or knee?
Knee, yeah.
There are
hand.
strategic stones in this to be able
Yes.
to access things.
Yes. You've got to think about these things now, because when somebody derails, it's a bit late to think about it then.
And it will be something with a lot of wheels that is a nightmare.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Big, lot of wheels, in a lot of problems, a lot of trouble. So, we'll go have a look at the other side.
I'm going to look at the pond on the way around. Ooh.
A little bit puddly over here, so
Oh yes, and don't stand on that flag.
don't stand on that flag. The badly laid flag. I will try and get out of view. Full the camera. So, yep, this one's pretty simple on this side. We've got the tunnel mouth in. The only thing I've then done on this side is I've grafted a bit that I'd cut off from here round the corner, so it's got a brick or stone face on this side, which you didn't do before. Other than that, it was just to trim it down a little bit to keep it that way. This one is a little bit tight because the point's slightly inside the tunnel, but I've checked it, and because we're on a bit of a straight, it's not actually getting anywhere close to the side, so we're fine on that. And then when we then eventually bring this track for the extension, it can just come down here and follow this wall. We'll have to think a little bit about what we're going to do with the fence, but we have some ideas for that we will try, see if they work, and then let you know if they do.
Yeah, it's all very much sort of up in the air, is that little bit there, yeah?
Yeah, and obviously we've still got to start planting a few more plants around here and things that will all blend in, ballast in, etc, etc.
Well, there's a lot to do.
That's hiding tunnel. Oh, the other thing to note, you can see the concrete block because I had to trim it back here, but
I mean, we
splash
can't
of
see anything if you put your arm there.
black paint or something or other inside, then it'll disappear and you'll just think it's a tunnel.
Yeah, we'll hide that.
Yeah, that's... You can't cover everything, but you can fade it in. So, that's
Shall we
basically...
watch Rob fall off the wall? Oh, you've got long enough legs to get down.
Yep. That's basically it for today. Other than lots of tidying up, which is what always happens when you've had a day of doing things all over the place,
Oh yes.
is tidying up.
Finding where you left everything.
Yeah.
Because
Well,
there does appear to be things everywhere.
I'm blooming happy with how that looks, I think.
Yeah, it has turned out pretty well.
It's sort of how I sort of envisaged it, which is good.
That's
Because at
always
one point
always a good
it
start.
wasn't really looking like it was going to be possible, but spent a bit of time on it and it's made it work.
It was looking like a big ask to get it to look right this morning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. There you go. I have no idea what I'm doing next. So, let's see. Are you filming?
Yes.
You want me to start, do you?
It'd be good if you said something, yeah.
Go!